Yo, what's good YouTube? This your boy Dimes Reacts back with another video. Today we have the best we already starting off wrong. What's good YouTube? It's your boy Dimes Reacts back with another video. Today we have the 50 best players in the NBA. BSOLZ top 50 list. Go subscribe to my man's BSOLZ. Great content creator. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to my video as well. On the road to 200 subs. Not sub sandwiches, not submarines, but subscribers. Get your boy there, man. But let's get right into the video. Top 50 list. Y'all real vicious. Like, I've been trying to avoid this list at all costs. I didn't even watch his podcast yet at the time of me recording this, but basically the part that I did see, he was basically saying a Siakam fan tried to dox him because he had Siakam too low to the Siakam fans like. And I'm like, bro, your favorite player is not even a top 40 player in the league, bro. And you crying because let's just see, bro. BSOLZ do get a lot of hate sometimes for no reason, but shout out to BSOLZ, one of my favorite content creators in the NBA community. Let's get into it.
As another NBA season comes to a close, it has everyone reevaluating the NBA landscape and where certain players rank. As subjective as it is, these conversations are just commonplace in our community. And as
I won't lie though, this year has been like the most up for grabs in a while. Like, I think outside of Kawhi Leonard, everybody in the top 10 at some point this season, you could have made a case for them being number one. Outside of Kawhi, you could have made a case for Luka, Jokic, and like, it was so many different people you could have made a case for to be the best player in the league outside of Kawhi. That's
every single year, it is time for me to do my own top 50 list. Now I know, I can't please everyone, and that's okay. That's okay. It's my list. Hope y'all enjoyed the show, but just a couple of disclaimers before we start. Number one, I can't rank Klay Thompson. This list is assuming everyone is fully healthy, but I just can't rank Klay Thompson when I haven't seen him for 2 straight seasons. I just can't. Also, I highly encourage y'all to focus more on the tiers players belong in rather than the actual order itself, because I understand that a lot of these spots are extremely debatable. Yeah. Also, just keep in mind, if there are 2 players and one is at the end of a tier and another is at the beginning of another, that probably still means they're interchangeable even if I have them in 2 different tiers. But with that being said, let's start it off, man. Let's start it off 50 through 40.
I ain't gonna lie, I never really got the whole point of like arguing like, oh, we arguing 44 and 45, who's better. They're one spot now, 1 and 2 maybe. Like, maybe you could make a more argument there.
Number 50 we have Fred VanVleet. 49 Michael Porter Jr. 48 Miles Turner. 47 Ben Simmons. 46 Pascal Siakam.
Oh, Siakam 45 was 46. Mans did you a favor, whoever.
Tobias Harris. 44 Draymond Green. 43 CJ McCollum. 42 Malcolm Brogdon. And 41 Demar Derozan.
I ain't gonna lie, DeRozan was definitely an all-star snub this year. Pretty surprised me as well. Ben Simmons is probably ranked this low because his terrible playoff performance. Because he could, at the regular season, he had a case for DPOY, and Ben Simmons, if he performed halfway decent in the playoffs, I think he cracked top 30. That's just me, though. He would have been somewhere around top 30. He got Tobias Harris. Well, they're only 2 spots. I'm not going to debate that. Malcolm Brogdon, I kind of like it. But let's
just talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to this part of the list, and that is Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is 47 on my list.
If he didn't stank it up in the playoffs, he would have been higher.
Ben
Probably
Simmons
30.
Just last year was still in conversations for being a top 20 player in the league because of his impact on a lot of areas when it comes to basketball. But let's just stop, man. Let's just stop. Enough is enough. While yes, when you analyze his game, you can really see that his only weakness is shooting. But every single year, it has become the downfall of his team. To say that Ben Simmons' only weakness is shooting is really undermining the importance of shooting/scoring the basketball and what that means for the limitations of the lineups and scenarios.
It's not the fact that he can't shoot either. It's more so the fact that I don't think he has the determination to want to get better at shooting, if that makes sense. So, like I said, Ben Simmons was
Ben Simmons can succeed in. So let's just come to the reality that Ben Simmons was just never as good as we thought he was. And if I improve,
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Ben Simmons is a great player in my opinion. He just got to get under a coach that's not like every coach this dude ever had coddles him, and they try to put up with his not being able to shoot. Like he needs a strict coach that's gonna like we focusing on you and developing your jump shot, cause we see great things out of you. But because Ben Simmons is a great defender, great finisher in the paint, playmaking is great. Defense is DPOI candidate, bruh. Like I don't think people realize how good.
Then I will say I am wrong, but until then, Ben Simmons to me is at 47. But anyways, let's talk about the other notable names in this part of the list.
Would put, like I said, it's a few spots, but still, I still would put Ben Simmons. I would probably change Draymond and Ben Simmons, but they in the same tier of players, so I ain't gonna trip.
Michael Porter Jr. cracks the top 50 for the first time after a season where he averaged 19 points and 7 rebounds, while shooting 54% from the field and 45% from 3, while his production didn't slip too bad in the playoffs as well. CJ McCollum is a player that moved down a decent amount to me, as his deficiencies as a defender just keep on getting more and more detrimental to his team's success. Malcolm Brogdon also finds himself in the top 50 after a season where he averaged 21, 6, and 5 on some really
I ain't gonna lie. Early in the season, you could have made a case for Malcolm Brogdon being an all-star. I ain't gonna lie.
Shooting splits. Now let's move on to 40 to 31. At number 3, we have De'Aaron Fox.
Shout
39,
De'Aaron,
LaMelo
man.
Ball.
LaMelo.
38, Kyle Lowry. 37, Brandon Ingram. 36, Nikola Vucevic. 35.
I already know Ja about to be in this tier, and it feel good to say that. I mean, because I feel like LaMelo. I think I even did this in my tier list video for the point guards. I had LaMelo, De'Aaron, and Ja. I don't know if I had Kyle Lowry in the tier with them or a tier ahead of them or not, but I had all of them in the same
5,
tier.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 34, John Morant.
Yes, sir. Big 34. It's crazy though, like how people do Ja. Like Ja is, everybody loves saying the man's overrated, but I think he gets overhated at times. For real.
3, Domantas Sabonis. 32, Julius Randle. And 31, Russell Westbrook. Call me crazy, man, but I am really hot.
I don't know if I would put Westbrook that high, for real. Teach there on no like.
Unfortunately, the Charlotte Hornets were not able to make the playoffs last year, primarily due to LaMelo Ball suffering an injury in the middle of the season. But what LaMelo showed us after he was given the keys as a starter was phenomenal.
It's crazy that he wasn't starting from the start. Though. I would have thought, you would think as a fan of basketball that they would have had LaMelo starting from the start with.
LaMelo Ball averaged roughly 20 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and had shooting splits of 46% from the field, 43% from 3, and 81% from the line. Also, comparing it to my list in November, John Moran climbed up a lot on my list as well, primarily due to what he showed in the playoffs. If you look at John Moran's regular season, you can actually make a case that he played worse than his rookie year, but I just can't ignore what he did in the playoffs against one of the best.
But at the same time, his impact was greater this year than last year.
Is in the league, and against a team with the best regular season record, John Moran in the first round averaged 30 points, 8 assists, and 4 rebounds on 49% shooting from the field, and that's just insane. Also, comparing it to my list in November, Russell Westbrook moved down a decent amount as well, as before he was in the top 20 and now he's at 31, and that's primarily due to
I'm not gonna lie, looking at Bradley Beal and Westbrook being teammates together wasn't as good as what we thought. I was like, okay, that's a clear playoff team, but they was the 8th seed, but I mean, I guess because of the dumb playing.
He had a very up and down season in Washington. And for the most part, when you look at the season overall,
he had a slow start, but he got better towards the end. That's the thing. Like, that's the key. He got better towards the end.
He just wasn't that good, even compared to his last season in Houston. Kyle Lowry is a player that actually moved down a lot to me. But to be completely honest, Kyle Lowry moving down this much is more so a matter of other players just getting better than it is a knock on Kyle Lowry. And I guess I don't want to spoil the next 10 too much, but this does mark the end of the first tier of this list, or last tier, depending on how you look at it. I feel like this tier consists of players who are undoubtedly good star-level players in the league, however, either have glaring weaknesses in their game, are more built to be third options on contending teams, or just haven't proven enough to move higher on this list. Now let's move on to the top 30. At 30, we have Jamal Murray. 29, Rudy Gobert.
Ooh, it kind of look bad now. Now mind, you got. I still might put Westbrook above Rudy Gobert. I ain't gonna lie. And you got Jamal. Well, Jamal did play a good bit of the season. He was pretty good, so I can't speak on that too much.
28, Bam Adebayo. 27, Drew Holiday. 26, DeAndre Ayton. 25, Jaylen Brown.
26, DeAndre Ayton. I don't know, man. That's tough. Jaylen Brown. That might be a little too low for Jaylen Brown, but let's see who he got ahead.
Brown. 24, Chris Middleton. 23, Zion Williamson.
Okay.
22, Karl Anthony Towns. And 21, Bradley Beal.
I might let it rock.
This is where the extremely talented players who haven't won much meets the players who have proven to be consistent second options on some really good playoff teams. After the championship run they just had, I just had to put some more respect on Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. These are players that may not have the same name value of some other players in even this part of the list, but they literally just proved to me that they can at the very least, be a second or third option on a championship caliber team.
That's
and
true.
Actually were that on a championship winning team. As far as my DeAndre Ayton placement, you know, honestly, that could bite me later down the line as a recency bias pick.
No,
but I
don't think it's a recency bias thing, because Ayton was good since his rookie year to me. It's just Luka and Trae Young was better, if that makes sense. So, with that said, like, Luka and Trae Young was just seen as the better players, so.
DeAndre Ayton's ability to be a really effective pick and roll big while having a scoring repertoire that's just not putbacks and lay-ins at the efficiency he's doing it as well is a separator to me between the likes of a Rudy Gobert or a Bam Adebayo. And I haven't even talked about his defensive capabilities as well. Also, despite Jaylen Brown being 4 spots away from players like Devin Booker, Trae Young, and Bradley Beal, I do believe that the order I decided to go with makes it seem like he's not, but I truly do believe he is in that class of players. And now we get into the top 20. At number 20,
Jaylen Brown really had a good season this year. I feel like the first round would have been better if Jaylen Brown was healthy.
We have Trae Young, 19 Devin Booker, 18 Zach Levine, 17 Jimmy Butler, 16 Chris Paul, 15 Kyrie Irving, 14 Paul George, 13 Donovan Mitchell, 12 Jason.
This been the big debate the whole season. Who's better, Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell? And I don't think they're in the same tier because the color coded is different. So this is pretty interesting to see. Like, Donovan Mitchell I like the whole debate thing because people that like Devin Booker make it seem like better. They make it seem like Donovan Mitchell and him are not closest players. And people that like Donovan Mitchell try to make it seem like it's way better. Like, he's way better than Devin Booker. But I look at it like this. They both are great scorers. It's just Donovan Mitchell's a little bit better in the paint. So, yeah. I would say Donovan Mitchell, though. But it's close.
Tatum and 11, Damian Lillard.
Dame at 11.
Devin Booker and Trae Young moved up tremendously to me after the playoff runs that they just had. We already knew
people thought Trae Young was going to get put out in the first round. And for him to make it to the conference finals, shout out to him.
They were really talented players, and they had the numbers to back it up. But for them to go out there in the playoffs,
especially Devin Booker, he was seen as this empty stats head type of player. But I look at it like this: empty stats. I feel like it's an illusion, because if a player don't try, we're mad at them. Like, he's not trying, he's not giving it his all. But when they try and they're on a losing team, we like to throw that empty stat.
Some really deep playoff runs was all the validation I needed for me to move them up this high. And a guy that I am willingly jumping the gun on, and I'll die on this hill until I'm proven otherwise, is Zach Levine. And how I believe Zach Levine is just as good as these guys, despite not winning as much as them last year.
I think Jimmy Butler's a little too high because coming off that bubble run, it just don't hit this.
Let me just remind you guys that Zach Levine just came off a year where he averaged 27, 5, and 5 on insane.
It's gonna be interesting. it's gonna be interesting to see. He almost had 50, 40, 90. Yikes! But it's gonna be interesting to see next year how him and Vucevic can. I feel like they can be a playoff team. Hopefully they get rid of the play in and realize that that's just useless. But I hope Zach and Vucevic can get to the playoffs.
42-85 splits. In terms of scoring the basketball, those are Kevin Durant, Steph Curry-esque splits. Those are insane. But also as a community, if we were able to turn our heads more on the empty stats moniker that were given to Trae Young and Devin Booker because they were able to win when given the right pieces, I don't know why we can't also make that same leap for Zach Levine and why we have to wait until he's put in that position instead of just making that claim right
Especially
now. Donovan Mitchell-Rosen.
Basketball is a team-based, team-oriented game. Like we always say, players in winning, like is not like he can't be high unless he's winning, but it's a team game.
Significant amount on my list as well. Number one, don't ever tell me Rudy Gobert is the best player on the Jazz. Just
wow.
Stop.
People said
Stop.
that.
It's Donovan Mitchell's team. I don't know why we've been overthinking it too much. It's Donovan Mitchell's team. Jimmy Butler to me moved down a decent amount too after having a horrendous playoff series.
He did get dropped. Okay. But I guess people used to say the same thing about the 76ers. Embiid, Simmons, and the Sixers. Now it's just Embiid in the Sixers.
In the first round this year. He's still a great player. I'm not going to say he's trash or anything like that. But I do think in
people low-key
did
jump the gun on Jimmy Butler just because of his...
Overrate him a little bit after the 2020 playoffs. It is what it is. It is what it is. But now,
But that's the thing about basketball. We always tend to overreact to things. But here we go with the top 10.
Let's get into my top 10. Number 10, we have Anthony Davis.
AD.
Number 9, Joel Embiid. Number 8, James Harden.
I think I would put Embiid on the upper half of the top 10, maybe.
Harden. Number 7, Nikola Jokic. Number 6, Luka Doncic. Number 5, Stephen Curry. Number 4, LeBron James.
LeBron at 4? Ooh. No. Kawhi's a little too high. I'm sorry.
Kawhi Leonard. Number 2, Kevin Durant. And number 1, Giannis.
I can see Giannis, KD, LeBron may be my third. See, it's kind of hard because they putting me on the spot. Giannis, KD, LeBron, Steph, fourth, Luka, Kawhi, Embiid, not top 5 then. Jokic, Embiid, Harden, and AD. That'll be how I top my list.
Antetokounmpo. Here we are, man. My top 10.
It's crazy. One point in the season, people's like, "Oh, James Harden might be the best player on the Nets." Now, look at the big gap between him and KD.
Players in the league, and honestly, my full top 50 list is right in front of your eyes, assuming everyone is healthy, aside from Klay Thompson, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video. Look, I just want to say this. I think in all of my years watching the NBA, and even studying the NBA landscape before, I started watching the NBA.
This year has really been the most up for grabs year in a while. Like at one point, outside of Kawhi, everybody in this top 10, you could have made a case was the best player.
The gap between the 10th best player in the league and the
Except
best
for
player
AD
in the
too.
league has ever been this small. Let me just remind you guys that Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, who I have at 7 and 9, were the 2 prime candidates for the MVP this year, with Jokic actually winning it. James Harden at some point this year was also in MVP conversations and was...
But let's be real, he wasn't going to win MVP because of the team that he's
considered the best player on the Nets at some point, with KD playing on the same team. Anthony Davis, the last time we saw him fully healthy, was an arguable finals MVP and averaged 28 and 10 throughout that whole playoff run on 57, 38, 83 splits. These are the type of players we have at the back end of this top 10, and I would like to think that if I ask y'all feedback on this top 10, that a majority of y'all would actually agree with the general order of this list. And the fact that Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, and James Harden
only major disagreement most people probably would have with the top 10 part is they might take somebody out and put Dame in.
More so in the 5 to 10 range than they are in the actual top 5. Now, I will say a big part of this order is primarily given the benefit of the doubt to what transpired just this year in the playoffs. But I'm telling you right now, these guys are all really close in my opinion. The only real distinction I made between tier 1 and tier 2 is that I believe the players in tier 1 actually have a legitimate argument for being the best player in the world, while the players in tier 2 have the talent to do so, but just don't really have an argument right now. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, because for the last 4 or 5 years, the conversation for the best player in the world has primarily been LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and Kawhi Leonard. And right now, as you can see on your screen, I have one Giannis Antetokounmpo
Finals MVP
as the best player in the world. Look, if you walked up to me and said KD's better or Kawhi's better, I would not give you that much pushback. I just won't. I'd give a little bit more pushback if you came up to me and said LeBron and Steph are better right now. But even then, I see it. But if you asked me what Giannis needed...
With that said, are we saying that this year is like this right now is the most talented the NBA has been in a while? Because, or not really, because it always been number one is this person, but the rest you could always debate, like Kobe, Dwight when LeBron first, because Dwight at one point was seen as an MVP candidate, but now it's crazy to think like people's debating, is Dwight really a Hall? I think it's more so younger people saying that never seen Dwight at his prime saying that.
To prove that he is the best player in the world. He did it. Yes, were there circumstances that may have aided him to get to the finals? Yes. But based off of the path he was given, the circumstances he was dealt with, he performed just as well as you can ask, if not more. Before we talk about the playoffs, let's talk about his regular season, because honestly, it's just been swept under the rug because he won the MVP the last 2 years, and there was a lot of voter fatigue. But in the regular season,
I'm not gonna lie, MVP is like a narrative-based award, if that makes sense. And like Giannis had a great regular season. It's just voters fatigue.
Giannis averaged 28 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists while shooting 57% from the field, playing all defensive first-team caliber defense, and led the Bucks to the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. And then he comes into the playoffs and elevates his performance from that already insane regular season, as he averaged 30 points.
People talk about, I was just about to talk about him shooting as we see a clip of him shooting. People always talk about how he can't shoot. I'm like, the difference between him and Ben Simmons is you could tell that Giannis has the drive to get better as a
playoff, leading 13 rebounds a game, accompanied by 5 assists, while again shooting 57% from the field throughout that whole run, and more specifically in the NBA Finals against a Phoenix Suns team who in the regular season had a record on pace to win 58 games and had the 3rd best defense in the playoffs and was just on a roll going into the finals. Giannis against that team in the finals averaged 35, 13, and 5 on 62% shooting from the field.
And his worst game was game 1, and to let that sink in, that's his first game back from injury, and that was still a good game. But that
great defense came.
I remember after game 2, I was talking to some people, and they was like, "Oh, the Bucks might get swept, or it might go to 5,"
and drop 50 points. 14 rebounds and 5 blocks in the closeout game. And mind you, I don't want this to get swept under the rug, but this is in a season where he chose to stay in Milwaukee instead of attempting to form a super team like KD, Kawhi, LeBron, and Steph have done at some point in their career. That is why Giannis,
that's what he meant when he said he won a ring.
As of July 22, 2021, is the best player in the NBA. But again, that can easily change.
Hey, W list, W video. It ain't nothing too crazy. I don't care if he did say Siakam's the best player in the league. It's not worth him getting doxxed over, bro. Y'all some weird. But anyway, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Go subscribe to BSOLZ as well. And I'm going to go ahead and like. Oh, I ain't even subscribed to him on this channel. I am on my main channel, but not over here. Just subscribe, and we out. Peace.